Hey everybody, Brian Tro coming to you from Mossy Creek Fly Fishing with your fly fishing forecast. The date for today is Monday the 14th of April. We are in the throes of spring. It is crazy. Today it's going to be 80 degrees almost, and then it'll be right back down to below freezing again tomorrow night. So we're riding a series of cold fronts, which really brings with it a lot of wind. When you go from that warm to that cold, we just get a lot of wind. They're calling for a nice afternoon today, and then tomorrow, Tuesday into Wednesday, they're calling for 40, even 50-mile-an-hour gusts. So yeah, that's not real friendly to fly casting or fly fishermen. Break out your 10 weights, right? So yeah, we've got a lot of wind. We've got a little bit of rain coming again tonight, which is good. And then it's just going to be going from warm to cold, back up to warm. So, you know, you got to kind of, this time of year, you really got to kind of play the weather game and pay attention to it because it very much affects your fishing and fishing opportunities. Good news all around is water levels are good. We had a decent amount of rain the last few days. And like I mentioned, more coming this evening. So a little behind on the year, but for the most part, everything is nice and green out there, and water levels are nice, very fishable. That goes from the mountain streams all the way down to our big rivers. So if we get another little bump tonight, that'll help us. Bugs are popping like crazy. You know, if you're a big dry fly fisherman, the wind matters too. You know, spinner falls get destroyed. So, you know, some of these bugs come in right in the evening to lay their eggs and die. And if the wind's blowing 30, 40 miles an hour, they ain't making it back to the creek. Those guys are all going to get blown away, and that'll be the end of them. So you got to pay attention to things like that. I'm sure it'll calm down Thursday, Friday. It's going to get a lot nicer. So let's go through the different streams and how they're doing, because there's a lot of good news to report on each one. Up in the mountains, the brook trout fishing has been really good, getting more and more consistent. It was very cold last week, which kind of stalled things out a little bit, but we're just adding bugs, and we're getting bigger bugs. And instead of having tens of a certain hatch, then you have hundreds, and you have thousands, and then you have millions. And so what ends up happening is, as we work our way closer and closer to May, we're just going to get more and more activity. And instead of perhaps only having like maybe an hour or 2 hours, you're going to have 3 hours or 4 hours. Or you may be able to put a dry fly on at 7 o'clock in the morning and fish that all the way until dusk and catch brook trout on it the whole day. So as I mentioned last week, light Cahills, Hendricksons, some of our core bugs are starting to show up. There's still plenty of caddis around. There are little black stones around. There's smaller bugs too, midges and betas. But you know, if we start getting good numbers of these larger, you know, size 14 mayflies, they're going to begin to ignore or turn their nose up at the little guys. So you can start fishing bigger and bigger flies. Speaking of bigger flies, a lot of times when I'm brook trout fishing, especially brook trout, these fish are not super picky. All right, they live in a very starved environment. When they have an opportunity to eat a bug, and they're going to swim all the way up to eat it, and they're committed to that bug, they're typically not going to get turned off the last minute because yours is a size 14 instead of a size 16, or vice versa. These subtle differences usually don't apply to starving fish. That's kind of something you'll find more on our spring creeks, where the fish get to feed really well all year long and can be highly selective. So a lot of times when I'm brook trout fishing and I'm trying to pick size of my nymph, size of my dry, I'll do it kind of based on the water flows. If you're fishing a stream that has lots of big wave trains and lots of turbulent water, where your dry fly is just getting sucked under and pulled under constantly, even if it's bushy and even if it's you know, greased properly, I'll just size up. I'll fish a wolf style pattern instead of a catskill style pattern, and I'll put on a size 12 yellow humpy, just so I'm not getting drowned over and over again. And then if we get into drought, or as we go further into summer and things get low, I'll start to size down, just so I'm not hitting the water hard. But yeah, the louder the water is, the more light that's throwing around and refracting, the less your fly stands out. And so a lot of times going up one size or putting on a fly that's a little bit brighter or a little bit bushier, that's the trick. That's the ticket that you need to be able to sustain good drifts and see the eat, things like that. So get your gink, get your frog's fanny, grab some of your favorite attractors, your favorite wolves, get up in those mountains and enjoy yourself. All the streams in the park have been fishing awesome, and all the streams to the west in the GW have been fishing awesome. So get out there and enjoy it. As far as the stocked water goes, I know I harp on this a lot, but it's true. It'll be over before you know it. We only have about a month and a half of fishing left on these delayed harvest streams before they open up to harvest, and it'll be no more. So state is out and busy and stocking left and right. Sometimes some of these streams are getting their third or fourth stocking for the year, which means you've got fresh fish just planted on top of fish. That kind of shuffles the deck a little bit, creates some competition amongst the fish, and can benefit the angler. All right. So check out the stocking schedule. DWR updates it pretty much every single day. They've been very busy out there. Jackson Tailwater's fishing really well. Had some good reports off that, especially throwing big streamers. They've been chasing those. Spring creeks are starting to turn the corner. All right. So, I say this every year. I mention that we've got, kind of a delayed start on the spring creeks, which seems odd for a lot of people because they're milder and they have more food, but it's just different bug life. We have different bugs on the valley floor, silt burrowing nymphs, things like that. And those cycles just don't start until a little bit later on in April, whereas the mountain streams can get bugs as early as late February. So the first sulfurs of the year have showed up. One of the greatest bugs there are. We've been seeing them on Mossy Creek. We've had reports of them on the South River. We've had reports of them on Buffalo Creek. So these guys are going to pop onesie twosie throughout the day, one here, one there. So if you see one nice subtle rise and then don't see another one, it's just because there's not enough of them coming down the pipe. All right. But if you hang around late enough, especially those folks that don't live in the area that are driving, the last hour of light is when you're going to get that great concentration. You're going to get not only the spinners all hitting the water and dying, but there'll be sulfurs hatching right during that time as well. So you can fish a dun, you can fish an emerger, you can fish a spent wing spinner. I like to fish a parachute for spinner falls, because just the style, the nature of the hackles being wrapped around, it can be a dun, but it can also be a spinner. So I kind of like that, and I can see parachutes well, and you definitely need a fly that you can see well because you're gonna be fishing at low light. So again, like if you're at Mossy this evening, it's nice and mild. There could definitely be some sulfurs coming off and some spinners hitting the water. However, if those winds really pick up, off into the fields, those bugs will go, never to be seen, heard of again. So anyway, so pay attention to the wind, all right? And this is early, so we're getting some sulfurs. It takes a couple of cycles, a couple good nights of spinners and hatches before the trout really get tuned in. But man, bright yellow bug, size 14. Some of them are even like almost size 12. They're gonna get smaller in the next couple of weeks. We'll have those Dorotheas coming in, but right now they're like size 14, bright yellow, all right? Very, very easy to see as you fish towards the darkness. Other than that, nymphs and streamers throughout the day on the spring creeks until we get a little more consistency on the surface and get some terrestrials showing up. You still need to prospect underneath the water unless you see fish actively coming up. Smallmouth and largemouth and sunfish. I include sunfish because they're like one of my favorite fish. For those of you who know me, I like to talk about them a lot. They love to eat, and as the water temps warm in our ponds and our streams, these fish are going to become more active, and they're going to come up further and further into the shallows. So if you have a friend or a kid and you want to get them into fishing, the best time of year to do it is over the next 2.5 months for sunfish. All right, they'll eat anything. They'll eat prince nymphs. They'll eat tiny poppers. They'll eat dry flies. They'll eat small little streamers. Okay, they'll eat anything, and they'll eat it well, and they fight well. And if you like to eat fish, sunfish are delicious. They don't call them panfish for nothing. So get out there and enjoy some fishing on your local farm pond or on the river. Speaking of the river, water levels on the James and Shenandoah are really, really good. Might get a little bump after tonight, hopefully. And the bass, the smallmouth, are staging, which means they are moving into spawning waters. Some have been fanning nests. We've seen a couple paired up. That doesn't mean they're necessarily ready to go at it. It's a moving target. So a lot of people come in and they're like, what day is spawn happen? It's not a day. It can be different times and different stretches of the river. Certainly a big difference between the James and the Shenandoah rivers because the water temperatures are quite different. The James would be ahead of us a little bit. So, you know, they're gonna, if you see a little bit of activity on the Shenandoah, you've probably got even more over there on the James. So the goal is to get after some of these big fish that have been wintering hard. It was a tough winter. They're really hungry. They're gonna be burning a lot of calories. The hens are gonna be producing egg. The males are going to be sweeping nests and cleaning nests and maintaining nests and guarding nests. So they're looking to eat, okay? But you've got to cut down to the water and you've got to get to them and you've got to be on the right stretch, okay? Casting at the base of your favorite tree where you catch fish all summer long is not necessarily going to cut it, all right? They just simply aren't there. They're in prime spawning water, okay? And once you know what that is, you can float a stretch of river you've never been on before and locate this type of water. All right. Once you start seeing fish paired up, like actually paired up and on the nest, you gotta just leave them alone. Okay. There's plenty of other species in the river. There's immature bass, right? There's juveniles. They're just going to be eating. They're not spawning. The largemouth are not on the same page. The catfish are not on the same page. The carp are not on the same page. The sunfish are not on the same page. So there's plenty of other things to enjoy in the river. So if you happen to go on a day or several days where the fish are paired up, they're probably not going to eat you anyway. And once they're done, you don't want to be casting at fish that are guarding nests. It's super uncool. So anyway, that's kind of the deal. Muskie hopefully will come online in the next 2 weeks as we go into May. And there's going to be a lot of updates on the bugs over the next 3 to 4 weeks. The bugs are going to come, boom, boom, boom. Lots of cool different ones. If you want to stay ahead of the curve a little bit, March browns are going to be showing up on the mountains. They're much bigger, size 12, modeled for those of you who tie. Be looking for those. And then that segues really nice on the spring creeks. We've got trichos that'll be showing up. Super important bug that's going to stay with us for about 6 months. That's on the other end of the spectrum, nice and tiny. And then one of my favorites, the drakes. The drakes will be showing up in a month and a half from now. Actually about a month from now. Some of the drakes, green drakes, yellow drakes, slate drakes. So bugs are going to get bigger and more plentiful and more things will happen on the surface. We got to keep these good water levels and hopefully keep this wind at bay. All right, that's it for now. I will talk to you all next Monday.